Welcome back to Girl Boss SA, where we're all about giving you the tools to tap into your magic. I'm all about cosmic energy and aligning through understanding the natural ebbs and flows of nature. We're going to kick off 2025 by getting into the current cosmic energy. Some of you may know that we're just coming from the Summer Solstice, which occurred on the 21st of December, which is when it always occurs in the Southern Hemisphere, which is what then evolved into what we know as the Christmas celebration. But the Christmas celebration is a celebration of the winter solstice, which is what occurs on the 21st of December in the Northern Hemisphere. But because we're in the Southern Hemisphere, we're experiencing the summer solstice at that time. We're always experiencing the polar opposite of the Northern Hemisphere. The summer solstice is the second cardinal point in the solar cycle after the spring equinox. The spring equinox is the sunrise, the new year. It's the beginning of the solar cycle. That's why everything greens again. I've explained in many videos about how the spring equinox was known as the time of Asa, the green god, the god of spring, of newness, the god that we now refer to as Aries season, or the Aries zodiac sign. All of the zodiac signs are derived from the seasons, the original seasons that our ancestors relayed in the ancient Dendera, which was a culmination of different perspectives and understandings of the natural seasons and how it is that they affect us as they occur. So the summer solstice then becomes the sun's peak. It's the noon of the year, when the sun is at its highest point, at its zenith. And the purpose of the sun during the summer solstice is to pump as much hydrogen into the Earth's atmosphere as possible so that it sustains life throughout winter. It's giving us enough life to be sustained through the winter period. So the summer solstice is about sustenance. That's the natural principle of the summer solstice. It's abundance, it's fruition, it's sustenance. Much like the new moon is opposite to the full moon, where the new moon is about introspection, it's about isolation, it's about reflection. The full moon is about fruition, it's about action, it's about manifestation. The summer solstice works the exact same way. It's just that now we're not dealing with the reflection of the sun's light or the sun's rays from the moon. We're dealing directly with the sun itself. Whereas the winter solstice is a time for isolation, for introspection, for reflection. The direct antithesis of that, the opposite of that, then becomes the summer solstice. The summer solstice is then a time of abundance, of fruition, of action. The personification of this time, of the time of the summer solstice, the principles of sustenance, the principles of abundance, those principles were personified by our northern ancestors as what we would now call Nebt-Het or Nephthys in Greek mythology. So all of these seasons that we experience carry a particular function within the solar cycle and the natural phenomena that we experience. So with this season, the principles of fruition and sustenance were all personified in what they came to call Nebt-Het, which is what came to be known as a female goddess that they built temples after, and they would bring offerings to her temple in this time of year. It was a lotus ceremony. The nature of the lotus flower is that it grows from murky, muddy waters, and it grows clean and new and bright and fresh. And in this way, it represents resilience and the ability to emerge from the darkness, renewed. Lotus tea is actually really good for that same function, for renewing the mind. Blue lotus flower can still be consumed as tea to this day. A lot of people still do it to aid reducing anxiety and clarification of dreams. It helps to draw vivid dreams from your mind, as well as a clarity and understanding of those dreams. It basically just boosts intuition. Because of its color, it's also got a strong connection to the crown chakra. A lot of elements of nature actually express their function through their colors. That's how a lot of indigenous healers identify certain medicines and how it is that they can be used. Much like the flower of the season was identified as the blue lotus, the color of the season was also identified as blue, which came from the blue skies that we'd experienced during the summer solstice. It's the hottest, longest day of the year, which is meant to bring about a lot of festivities. This is the time to connect with our families and our friends and our community. These are the rituals that we partake in during this time that we're not even aware of. During the time of the summer solstice, we're always gathering, we're always celebrating, we're feasting, we're buying new clothes, what we call Christmas clothes. It's a time of celebration, and that's just in alignment with the energy of the season. That is the ritual that we perform in the time without even realizing, because we're in that natural flow. The temple of Nebt-Het at the time was also just a very sacred place because she was the goddess of protection, of nurturing, of transformation. As the original archetype for the zodiac sign Cancer, Nebt-Het embodies the tender, maternal energies that govern the home, the family, and your emotional life. Her association with water ties her to the rhythms of emotion, deep emotional wisdom, and the power of vulnerability. She's the protector of the household, of the family. In the Kemetic narrative of creation, she played a vital role in what we call the Osirian mythos, helping Oset in her quest to revive Asa and protect their son, Heru, who we now call Horus. This connection to familial devotion and emotional resilience is a hallmark of her influence on Cancer, very deeply connected to their loved ones and driven by this innate desire to care for and protect the people they cherish. So our Cancer season falls between the 21st of December and the 22nd of January. Aligning with the summer solstice, Nebt-Het came to be personified as a feminine goddess because in this time, the earth is at its peak of fertility and the energy of growth and nurture is very palpable. So just the same way that Nebt-Het nurtures life through her protective and caring energies, the Cancer season invites us to focus on emotional well-being and the bonds of family and the sanctity of home. So naturally, Cancer people are usually deeply empathetic, very intuitive, and protective, especially where their loved ones are concerned. They really thrive in environments where they can care for others and express their emotional depth without fear of judgment. And the Cancer season is the time to honor those traits. So it's about embracing your nurturing energies, regardless of whatever season you were born in. Nebt-Het embodies those energies, channeling them into creating loving and supporting spaces. Nebt-Het symbolism is rich with themes of care and protection and transformation, all of which resonate deeply with Cancer's archetype because Cancer characteristics come from the principles of Nebt-Het. Her association with the waters of the Nile ties her to the cyclical nature of life. Water as an element is fluid, adaptive, and essential for life. These are qualities that are mirrored in Cancer individuals who are known for their adaptability, their emotional intelligence, and their capacity for deep care. Nebt-Het's role as a protector also highlights the defensive tendencies of Cancer individuals. Just like the crab, which is the symbol, those that are born under the sign often build emotional shells to protect themselves from harm. And this protective instinct isn't born out of fear, but rather a deep desire to preserve the sanctity of their inner world. And Nebt-Het's principles teach that this protective nature, when balanced with vulnerability and openness, can be a source of strength and wisdom. This season is very much a season for emotional healing, and a lot of it is triggered and initiated through our community engagements, our engagements with family and friends. A lot of things come up for us in the season of Nebt-Het, especially around the summer solstice time, because everything is so heightened. Our emotions tend to be heightened as well in the time. We're confronted with a lot of things that we may not have been dealing with throughout the year, but we're confronted with a lot of that during the summer solstice. So it really is a time for transformation. And people born in the season of Cancer are kind of in their element in this time. People born in the season are gifted with a natural ability to navigate the complexities of human emotion, offering comfort and support to those who need it. So the emotional depth is both a gift and a challenge, because Cancer people usually feel the weight of other people's emotions and they can become overwhelmed by their own sensitivity. It's important to remember that emotional resilience comes from understanding and honoring our feelings rather than suppressing them. By embracing your emotional nature, you can cultivate a very strong sense of empathy and connection, using your intuitive gift to nurture yourself and others. For people born in the season of Cancer, a home isn't just a physical space. It's a sanctuary of emotional safety and connection. So a lot of the times Cancer people are like deeply committed to creating nurturing and harmonious environments. The natural energy in this season specifically invites us all to embrace the nurturing and renewing energies. It's a season of emotional growth. It's a time to honor our feelings, and it's a period to focus on the bonds that sustain us. Just like the waters of the Nile. Because in ancient times, the summer solstice was the time when the Nile River would flood, what we would call the inundation of the Nile. The flooding of the Nile would renew the crops and provide the land with all of the sustenance that it needed for the crops to grow and for everybody to receive an abundant harvest. The waters would replenish the land at a large scale. The same energy that encourages us to replenish our emotional reserve and offer our care to those around us. For those who are actually born in the season, this is a time to embrace your natural gifts of empathy, of intuition, and care. It's also a really great season to focus on self-care. It's a time to honor your own emotional needs. When you set the intention to tap into this energy, or when you make the effort to tap into this energy, you create an opportunity to find balance and strength in vulnerability. Instead of being what we call over-emotional or whatever, this is a time when you can actually use your emotional wisdom to navigate life's challenges in the season of nurturing, protection, and emotional wisdom. So I hope this gives a bit of clarity on the origins of Cancer, right? Cancer's qualities of care, empathy, and transformation come from Nebt-Het's characteristics of nurturing, protection, and emotional wisdom. Her connection to the waters of the Nile and her role as a protector of the household highlight the deep emotional and intuitive energies that define the characteristics of Cancer as a zodiac sign. And the physical way to tap into the energies of this nature, because usually a lot of people want to know, what is it that I need to do in the season to tap into the energies? Remember, it's really all just about engaging with nature, tapping into the natural flow of nature and the time. Coming off of the summer solstice, right? It's the longest day of the year, and it's supposedly the hottest day of the year. Also depending on where you are, I guess, because in Johannesburg it wasn't very hot. It was quite rainy and very cool, actually. But I'd been to Durban, I'd been to Mpumalanga as well in the festive season, and it was like approaching 50 degrees. Super humid. Even when there's no sun, it's just like being in a sauna. So when the sun comes out, the most natural thing to do is to engage in activities like going out into the sun, soak up the sunlight, walk barefoot in the grass to connect with the fertility of the earth. It's about engaging in movement. Like the rivers are constant and ever flowing. It's a time to plan your way forward with all of that energy. Remember that in this time, the sun is pumping an abundance of hydrogen into the Earth's atmosphere to give it life that will sustain it through the winter period when everything dies. The same way that you need to be summoning that same type of energy from nature to fill you with the reserve that you need to sustain you through the winter. And that would be health-wise, emotionally, that would be career-wise, especially when we're talking about the sun, the element of fire, when we're talking about the principles of ambition, of passion. All of those come from the element of fire. When we're absorbing that amount of fire energy, this is the time that should be getting us fueled, getting us excited, getting us motivated to move forward, helping us to brainstorm, to plan, to look at how it is that we're going to be executing going forward. So this is a time for planning. With planning, it's really just about however it works best for you. I know a lot of people like to do vision boarding. And if you're like me, you might be quite lazy to vision board. When I say lazy to vision board, I mean just the act of finding magazines and cutting out pictures and getting a board and sticking them onto the board. I prefer to make a digital vision board. If you're into the craft of doing a physical vision board, then by all means do it. It's a very powerful manifestation ritual. I really enjoy making a digital vision board because then I can save it as a screensaver on my laptop, or I can put it as my wallpaper on my phone, something that I'm able to see constantly, even to the point where I forget that it's there, but my subconscious is always kind of taking it in. That really is where your manifestation is rooted, in your subconscious. And also gratitude. Please don't ever forget gratitude. In every season, it's very important to exercise gratitude, to activate your gratitude, to consciously acknowledge the things that you're grateful for. If you have to write them down, if you have to say them, if you have to sing them, whatever it is that you need to do to communicate to God, to communicate to the universe, to communicate to the elements of nature, your gratitude for all of its provisions. That becomes like a magnet to attract more of those blessings. So understand this season as an opportunity for renewal, in the sense that you can confront your triggers, especially where friends, family, and communities are concerned. Confronting those triggers as a sort of initiation for emotional maturity and emotional strength and emotional wisdom. It's a time to embrace your emotions and free your expression, to engage with those around you, to learn from them, to absorb. Remember, we're in a time of absorbing the sunlight. This is life from God. It's abundance, it's strength, especially leading into the next season, which is the season of Heru, the lion. It's a season of ambition, of passion. And what's important to focus on right now is activating your body and aligning with all of these aspects of nature that are being presented to us. So I'm hoping this was informative. And if you're finding this helpful and you're looking for more of this kind of information, especially going forward as we go through the seasons, I'm going to be posting a lot more videos to guide us through the seasons. Anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, love yourself, be good to yourself. Lots of love, lots of light.